Now, you guys have got to hear this story. It is remarkable. You can't even make it up. And by the way, this story is found in DuPage Policy Journal. They write all the news that other people want to ignore, plus some. But this is really important news here. So this story just came out today, and it's about Glenbard Township School Superintendent, D87, David Larson. So here's the story. David Larson told high school parents he canceled school dances because he believed that they were not safe for students, and that school basketball games were safe because spectators at athletic events are seated, usually facing in one direction. Now, pause and consider that. He thinks that because you've got a whole slew of school kids watching a basketball game, close together, by the way, that because they're facing forward, the virus transmission is not going to be substantial or risky. But if you put them in a school dance, then that is going to be remarkably different than them sitting together watching a basketball game. I mean, this is literally what he said. Because at athletic events, they're usually seated facing forward. Okay, he made these comments via an email last week in response to parent questions about the inconsistency of his policy. Remember, the Glenbard West principal was at the game that they played. So Glenbard West has a remarkable basketball team. The Hilltoppers are 20-1. They're the top-ranked team in the state of Illinois. And they were at the Wintrust Arena on February 5th at a nationally televised boys basketball game against a California team. Unfortunately, they lost in a buzzer beater where the other side, the California team, made a three-pointer. But otherwise, it was a great game. And so that's the context around this. They're at this big basketball game. They're at the Wintrust Stadium. The stands are packed. I mean, I think the event sold out in a matter of like minutes once those tickets went on sale. You've got a whole slew of Glenbard West students all sitting in the student section together, cheering on their team. Everybody's maskless. And also in the audience is the Glenbard West principal, who is wearing his mask down around his chin. So he's not masked either, okay? So then they decide that they're going to cancel basically the Valentine's Day dance. And so Larson's asked about this, and he says, well, at athletic events, spectators are seated, usually facing forward. You just can't even make it up. How in the world does this guy hold an office? Now, the DuPage Policy Journal goes on to give us a little bit more data. Let's remember this. There was the Glen Ellen School District 41 school board member and student mask mandate supporter Jason Lobach. He posted a maskless photo of himself on Facebook at a Naperville coffee house, so he's not following the rules. There's Larson himself. This is another little tidbit. It's set to earn $385,718 in compensation this year. Almost $400,000. That's about what President Biden makes. He's going to learn that. He's going to earn that in D87 this year. And that's before the taxpayer-funded pension contributions, because I think people don't understand this. These guys are supposedly supposed to put in about 9% of their income towards their own pension. But in many cases, as part of the contract, the school districts, the school board negotiates with the union or with the individual administrators that they will pick up the employee's share of pension contributions. That's like giving them tax-free money, an extra perk. Well, in this case, David Larson's going to earn $385,000 plus taxpayers are going to pick up his taxpayer-funded pension contribution. Also, I don't know if you guys remember this story, but in 2017, David Larson drew criticism for trying to lower his property taxes by 40% while advocating for higher property taxes in all of D87 residents. That's exactly what he did. And I had a couple of run-ins with David Larson over that particular article. He wanted to blame me for that. I had nothing to do with it. And he wanted to blame me for passing that information around. Yeah, I sure do. I pass around information when I get it. I do it all the time. And I'm going to continue to do it. What's your problem? And in fact, I pulled that article because I thought I might relay that one to you too. This is from October 4, 2017. Glenbard School District Superintendent David Larson has been an aggressive advocate for raising Glen Ellyn property taxes to increase spending. As for his own property taxes, he lives at blah, 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 blah. Larson thinks they're too high. He's appealing. He appealed his property taxes to lower his bill by 40%. But the Milton Township assessor, who oversees the valuation of his property, said that he believes that the property is worth about $948,000, and Larson believes it's worth $672,000. Now, I think that they ended up settling this for an amount in between that. But regardless, Larson basically wouldn't let the assessor in to look at his house and give it a proper assessment, and that's really all the assessor was looking for. Oh, no, he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to do that. Meanwhile, his neighbors are the ones who actually, I think, raised attention. That's why my understanding is that they raised attention that he was doing work on it, and they wanted to know whether or not he was doing work that was permitted or not. So there you go. That's what's going on with Larson. But anyway, the other thing about Larson, he's really kind of a scumbag. I mean, by the way, he's ineffective too. Do you know this Glen Ellyn? Do you know this Lombard, Glenbard East parents, Glenbard South parents, Glenbard North parents in Carroll Stream? Do you know that just barely over 40% of your students read or do math at grade level in the D87 school system? Just over 40%. That's not success. That is not success. You have 10 kids walk in, and only 4 of them can walk out reading and doing math at grade level. Not a good idea. Not good at all. The other thing about Larson is that he doesn't like private schools. He doesn't like them at all. And in fact, he wrote a op-ed in the Chicago Tribune when they were considering the tax credit scholarships. And he wrote, actually, and he also put this out on a PDF himself. He says this, it's dated 8/18/17. This is right before the vote was taken on the tax credit scholarship program that was put together in conjunction with the redoing of the education funding formula. And David Larson wrote this. He wrote some stuff, and I'm going to give you the synopsis that the DuPage Policy Journal wrote. He said he slammed private schools as inferior for hiring younger teachers with no promise of permanent employment. He said this cheap labor results in eroding the status and prestige of the teaching profession. He said parents who choose private schools are weakening and fragmenting their communities and eroding the foundation of our democratic society, especially those who choose them for religious or sectarian factors. These parents should be chastised, Larson argued, for placing a greater value on personal choice than the importance of equity, commonality, and public accountability. Yep, that's who he is. He doesn't like private education. He doesn't respect taxpayers. He's highly compensated. He's doing a terrible job. And now he is revealed. He is unmasked to all of you. Might as well use the masking term. He's unmasked to everybody his utter incompetence. I mean, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. In fact, I'm going to share this commentary that I found online. Be wary of snake oil salesmen in education, he writes. And this is his op-ed that he put in the Chicago Tribune. Just slamming private schools and the parents who support them. It's just unbelievable. Okay, but here we go. Let me read straight from the email. This is what Larson wrote to a person when they asked about why he's canceling the dance. He says, hello. Thank you for your recent email regarding holding off on school-sponsored dances this winter. Making safety decisions about indoor events such as athletic events and dances is important to our goal of keeping schools safe and open. When spectators at athletic events are seated, usually facing in one direction and stationary, enforcing safety precautions is challenging. At a dance, there is very little time that students are seated or stationary. Additionally, the nature of a dance puts students in physical proximity facing one another. Therefore, it is much more challenging to ensure that all students are adhering to safety protocols during high transmission rates like we have now. I'm going to pause there. So, spectators watching a basketball game are stationary, facing forward, and they are at less likely to transmit the virus. Students dancing together in close proximity to each other, facing each other, are more likely to transmit the virus. Well, what about the basketball players? I mean, I have friends who have members on that Glenbard West basketball team, and they tell me they have been playing basketball the whole season with basically the masks under their chin. Nobody's enforcing the rules. Mask under the chin. Then they go to the Wintrust to play this California team. And the California team walks in, no mask at all. Which, by the way, down in California, these guys are masked up all the time otherwise. But they walk in with no masks. So immediately the Glenbard West student players all take off their masks. So playing basketball, guarding that man one-on-one, jumping for balls, roughing it up on the floor. No risk to transmission there. But these guys can't dance together. No dancing with a girl. I mean, it's remarkably stupid. It's stupid. And you're paying this guy $400,000 a year. Okay, he goes on. As we make these difficult decisions, we are being vigilant to avoid an event that could result in significant spread of the COVID-19 virus. Again, thank you for your note and outlining that this decision appears inconsistent and unfair. Know that your email will be shared with the Board of Education. Inconsistent? Yeah, completely inconsistent. Whatever. Okay, just a few tales from around the suburbs and around Illinois about what's going on, because it was a remarkable week. I mean, what a wake-up call. We need another week of this, and I think then we're going to get past this all. I think that there's no going back. I don't care what the appellate court says on this court case. I don't believe you'll ever get masks back on kids, because you have hundreds of schools that have already decided mask optional. Now the next thing is to ensure that we take on your schools in terms of their academic achievement levels and get those up. So we have a lot of fights left to be had in the school system, and actually on other issues. We want to get past this issue. There's so much to talk about what's going on in the state of Illinois. We've got a huge governor's race coming up in November. There's a lot to discuss, whether it is the taxes, whether it's a policy on energy, all of it is important. Oh, crime's important. Apparently there's a qualified immunity bill that is going to strip qualified immunity from police officers. That would be another devastating blow to our police around the state and to recruitment efforts to get more police. So we've got a lot of issues to talk about other than schools, but it has been quite a week, and this week's going to be a second week of that. So let's keep this going this week, and we'll be back to you on Friday with another podcast and another update. Thank you for joining me on The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.